Hi everyone, so today I'm here with my review of The Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. So when I actually started reading this book, I wasn't too sure whether I was actually going to enjoy it or not. When I reached about 50 pages in, I started to really enjoy this book and really like the characters. So yeah, after that start that I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, I ended up loving this book. So this book follows our main character Pat Peoples, who was in a psychiatric hospital for quite a while, and he's finally being allowed to go home. Pat is determined to change and become a better person so that he can reconcile with his wife Nikki. And then Pat meets Tiffany. Tiffany and Pat sort of become like friends, and Pat is still trying to figure out a way that he can reconcile with his wife, and Tiffany might just have a way that he can do that. So like I said, this book did take me a while to get interested in. I think I read it. I think it took me about 3 days to actually read this because I was reading wee bits at a time until I finally got into it, and then I powered my way through it. I really liked Pat's character. He'd been in a psychiatric hospital for God knows how long, and he'd been let out, and he didn't remember why he was put in there. So it was kind of interesting to see the discovery of how the thing that put Pat in the psychiatric hospital damaged him and how it caused him pain, that something that can trigger it kind of sets him off in a rage. So it was interesting to find out exactly what Pat had done to get himself put there in the first place, and why his wife Nikki seemed to be extremely absent. Pat had some unhealthy obsessions. His first one was with the exercise. He'd exercise for hours and hours a day, and it had to be scheduled. He had to do so many push-ups, so many press-ups, run so many miles, and if he didn't, he said he was fat, and he said he felt fat, and he had to sleep in a sleeping bag with all his clothes on so he would sweat away the weight and his sleep. It was kind of unnerving to read about that. I've never seen someone go to such extremes to get fit or lose weight, so yeah, it was very interesting and weird. And then he also had his obsession with Nikki. Everything he did when he came out of that psychiatric hospital was for Nikki. He barely did anything for himself. He was reading Nikki's English syllabus list to make himself smarter for Nikki, exercise so he was fitter for Nikki, compliment people so he could become nicer for Nikki, and everything was for Nikki. So yeah, it was a pretty unhealthy obsession there as well. There was clearly stuff that Pat wasn't being told. His family were keeping secrets from him, and I do think that Pat would have been able to handle it if they'd told him in like small doses. He was kind of catching on that they were lying to him, so it probably would have been better if they'd started introducing him slowly with all this stuff instead of like hiding it from him, because I do think he would have been able to handle it. But Pat was such a sweet character. He was so naive and emotional, and he was just such a nice guy. And then we have Tiffany. Boy, is she one messed up chick. She'd fly off the handle sometimes, and I'd be sitting there going, wow, was that reaction really necessary? But she was good for Pat. Everyone was always warning him against Tiffany, and sure, she did some crazy ass stuff, but she really helped Pat a lot. Tiffany has her own issues going on though as well. Her husband died, and Tiffany dealt with the grief in not a very good way, but meeting Pat has helped her a lot as well. She started to change, and I really loved Tiffany. She was just a fantastic character. Football was a major part of this book as well. I'm not a massive football fan, and I don't understand the football, so because this is American, it was even worse because I don't understand American football at all, and it just didn't interest me. But the point of this is that football is a main part of this book for Pat and his family, because Pat's relationship with his father basically depends on whether their team wins or loses. If the Eagles won, Pat's dad would be pretty happy and probably talk to him sometimes. If they didn't win, he would go in a huff, lock himself in the study, not talk to anyone, and blame it all on Pat. So yeah, they had a pretty rocky relationship, and I felt pretty bad for Pat that his relationship was basically based on their football team winning. So he always had to hope that his football team would win and that his dad would talk to him. The Eagles were what also connected Pat to his therapist Cliff. Cliff is a massive Eagles fan as well, and Cliff was a fantastic therapist actually. He really did help Pat a lot. He got him to talk and open himself up, and yeah, Cliff was brilliant. The big reveal of what Pat did to get himself put in a psychiatric hospital was kind of shocking actually. Pat almost did something unforgivable, and Nikki had to stop him. So yeah, it was pretty horrible seeing Pat remember exactly why he was put there and start to put everything together. So yeah, it was nice to see him start to live his life again though and put everything behind him. I was really happy at the end that everything managed to work out. I'm positive that Pat will be able to get his life back on track. Hopefully his obsessions will die down and he will start to live his life again. Overall, this was such a fantastic book. I loved learning about Pat and Tiffany and seeing their journey throughout this book. They were just fantastic characters. This book was amazing and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. So that was my review for the Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I'll see you guys later. Bye everyone.